This is your daily stimulus update, including further clarification on that 4 to 6 week lockdown proposal and paying everybody during that time to stay home. Let's get right into it and talk about what's going on regarding stimulus and other news around the country as of today, Saturday, November 14th. But hey, if you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Matt. Thanks so much for checking me out, and please be sure you are subscribed by hitting that button down below. And if you're returning, welcome back. It's so great to see you again. Thank you so much for your continued friendship and support. You know that I'm back every single day as the underdog advocate, looking out for everybody here in this community and bringing you the latest information to help everybody navigate this really confusing and tough time. So let's get right into it and talk about what is going on. So first, I'm going to run through just some latest updates with everything going on, and then I'll get into that further clarification regarding that 4 to 6 week lockdown proposal and paying everybody during that time, as we have been hearing about over the last couple of days here. So first things first, Oregon and New Mexico have implemented new stay-at-home orders or lockdown, however you want to phrase it, and they have suggested that gyms, museums, pools, movie theaters, and zoos will be closed. At the same time, restaurants and bars will be restricted to carry-out service only. So this comes at the same time that multiple other states have implemented restrictions and curfews among many different states. So we're kind of seeing the same pattern play out that we saw earlier this year, back in March of this year, right? This is kind of how everything started, right? So anyway, let's continue. President Trump was out and he said another lockdown will not happen under his administration. So, there's been a lot of people out saying that there's just simply not an appetite for another lockdown, and we know President Trump is not in support of another nationwide lockdown. However, let's remember, there could be lockdowns, as I just mentioned, there could be lockdowns going forward at the state level, simply because some of these states are starting to see huge, massive spikes in COVID cases over the last couple of days, which I've been talking about literally every single day in our country over the last about week and a half now. We've had record days of COVID literally basically every day. I think there was maybe one day in there that didn't make a new record. Other than that, it's basically new records every single day. So remember, there could still be lockdowns at the state level. So maybe we don't go into a nationwide lockdown. However, there could be those lockdowns at the state level, as we're seeing in Oregon and New York, as well as many states implementing those restrictions and curfews. So this is probably just the tip of the iceberg, as you could say metaphorically, I suppose. Some states could be offering these lockdowns simply because they may not have the hospital capacity. I've been talking about this over the last couple of weeks here. States may be forced to go into lockdown situations simply because their hospitals, they don't have the capacity for patients anymore. Not only that, they may not have the medical personnel to look over everybody. At the same time, they may want to preserve PPE, personal protective equipment, and or they may not have the equipment like ventilators for a surge in patients. So they may be forced to get into some kind of lockdown or more restrictive parameters going forward. So it'll be interesting to see what happens now as of Oregon and New Mexico implementing these new rules as of yesterday. So that will certainly be interesting to watch that going forward here. I hope everybody's staying safe with that being said. At the same time, let me offer some clarification on that 4 to 6 week lockdown proposal that we've been talking about. So here's the deal. Michael Osterholm, who is the coronavirus task force advisor for Joe Biden, him and another guy by the name of Neil Kashkari, he is the Minneapolis Fed president, Neil Kashkari. These two guys wrote an article back in August, and simply what the article stated is that we should go into a nationwide lockdown for 4 to 6 weeks, and during that time, we could pay everybody to stay home, and we could replace their wages during that time. So these guys wrote that article back in August, back when cases were still relatively low, right around 50,000 or something a day nationwide. Well, now we know that we're approaching 200,000 a day pretty rapidly here. In fact, we could almost hit that today. So Anyway, in this article, these guys mentioned that we should go into a nationwide 4 to 6 week lockdown and that we should pass a massive stimulus package at that time that could replace everybody's income for the weeks that everybody would be staying home. Not to mention there would be funding in there for state and local government and schools and what else? PPP for businesses, small businesses, things like this. So these guys were suggesting back then in August that if we didn't take measures back in August to do something to mitigate the spread of everything going on, that we could be in a really bad situation in a matter of a couple months. Well, guess what? Nothing happened back in August. Well, their prediction came exactly true. Here we are in mid-November, and things are raging across the country. So these guys were out just recently, once again, stating referencing that 4 to 6 week lockdown. However, they were saying just recently over the last couple of days that there's just simply not an appetite to lock down, a nationwide lockdown in this country. As we can see, some of the states already have been pushing back a little bit on the idea of lockdowns. However, they could simply be forced to do it. Like I just said, I'm not going to go through it again, but I basically just talked about that. Some of these states could simply be forced to lock down again simply because they don't have the hospital capacity anymore. When it comes to stimulus, this is my opinion on stimulus, and I think many other people adopt probably something very similar to this, and this is if we go into some type of lockdown situation again on the state level, it's not a matter of if we're going to get stimulus, it's just a matter of when are they finally going to approve it. It's not a matter of, well, do we need stimulus? It's going to be, no, we need stimulus immediately, and how big do we go, and how fast do we deploy this stimulus package? So I honestly think it's not a matter of, oh, do we need a targeted bill, or when do we need it and how much? It's a matter of, okay, we need this desperately right now because people are becoming unemployed, people are becoming sick, people can't pay their bills, employment has dried up, income has dried up, people are hitting the unemployment lines once again. It's just a matter of, okay, how big do we need to go and how quickly do we need to push all of this out? So it'll be interesting, again, to watch this over the coming days and weeks here, if these people will finally come together, as far as Congress goes, if they'll finally come together and pass something. But like I've been saying, I don't think it's a matter of if they think they want to pass something or not. It's a matter of they're forced. They're literally going to be forced to pass something. So now that we have Oregon and New York kind of as the first states issuing these stay-at-home lockdown orders, it's going to be interesting to see what other states follow suit and come in right behind issuing the same type of orders over the coming days, weeks. Who knows? Maybe this weekend something like that will happen. If that's the case, we're going to see probably huge spikes in people claiming unemployment benefits once again. So it's going to be interesting to see the jobless claim number come out this coming Thursday to see if that spikes once again. We were a little bit over 700,000 just this past Thursday, with close to 300,000 self-employed people claiming. So that put us just a touch over 1 million for the week. It's going to be interesting. Let's see what happens this coming Thursday. If we see another massive spike in people claiming unemployment benefits, again, it's just going to be another reason to build the case for stimulus. Let's go big. Let's do it fast. Just like earlier this year, massive amounts of people were filing for unemployment benefits basically simultaneously. A lot of people in March, a lot of people in April were filing for these unemployment benefits right then and there. And what did they do? They passed that massive over $2 trillion stimulus package, the CARES Act, in a matter of about 10 days or so. From the time that there was conception of that idea until the time that had a signature from the president was only like 10 days or 2 weeks or something. It was not very long at all. So we can kind of anticipate something like that is probably going to happen again. Whether it happens in December or in January when possibly a new administration comes in, we don't know, but it's just a matter of, it's probably going to happen at some point, just a matter of when. So it's certainly getting to be a dire situation out there. So anyway, I hope all of you are having a great weekend. Stay safe out there, and I will continue keeping you updated on a daily basis with everything going on. Enjoy your day, and I will catch you again soon.